All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast and kind of a special podcast we're putting together here today. We honestly weren't prepared to do an episode today. If you can hear me, I sound like a little bit under the weather. I don't know if that's me screaming at a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert or my daughter going back to school and coming home with God knows what in week one. It might be a combination of the two, but because the Avalanche went out and signed Evan Rodrigues to a contract, we had to get together real quick and do an episode for you guys. What does this mean for him? What does this mean for the Avs? This is going to be this is interesting. This is an interesting signing. I think one that we all were hoping was going to happen and wanted to happen, considering what happened with the Avs and losing Kadri. But we're going to talk about it. Let's get to it.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, you thought the Denver Broncos were the big story today, week one. Oh, you know, it still is. But this is still a pretty big deal for us Avalanche fans and Colorado faithful. The Avs pull a trigger on a pretty big deal for them. The money might not be a big deal, and the term definitely might not be a big deal, but what it means for this season is a pretty big deal. So we will talk about that. But first things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Follow us on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on the YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. And Mr. Sullivan, we have our 2C, I think. Like that was the big question after Kadri left. What's it going to be? And you still had time. I kept thinking, like, they still have time to make a move, make a trade. You knew Rodrigues was out there. There were a couple other free agents still floating around out there that hadn't made a deal. He seemed to be the biggest name left for the Avs to get to fill that role left by Nazem Kadri. And they go out and do it. It's just a 1-year deal, and it's just for $2 million. But what he could mean for the Avs is not replacing Nazem Kadri, but being a decent replacement and not as much as a question mark as it would be if you were left with Newhook or Comfort. I like the deal. The money is very good. Mm-hmm. The term is what it is. It's almost like, you know, well, we'll get into what the future holds for him in a little bit. But overall, the signing, your thoughts?
My goodness, man. It's shocking, and it shouldn't have been. Like, we're recording this with a ball of fire in the sky. I don't know what the sunshine looks like.
Weird. What is that thing up there?
Like, I was all ready for the Broncos game. I was finishing out some college work, and then I get the update. And you kind of sit there, and it's a name that every time we talk about the 2C position, it's a name that's brought up. Like, this is the answer. And for all this time with Nas leaving, and it wasn't like that immediate move, you kind of thought, okay, maybe this is not where the Avs are going. They're looking elsewhere. So we all kind of take it for granted. We're all getting ready for the game, and here comes the news. And you're like, okay, this is great. This is exactly what we needed. And then you have that hesitation. Oh boy, but for how much? And then you look at the deal and the term, and you're like, okay, I can live with this. Like we're basically giving him a 1-year trial. Like, if this works, we'll continue to go with it. But if not, this is one of those things you can dump at the trade deadline. So there's really no risk for the Avalanche with this contract. I mean, he's got veteran presence. He's been playing for a while. Buffalo and Pittsburgh are not shabby places to play, and he had a career year last year with like 49 points. So you could easily slot that in at the 2C off his veteran presence alone and what he could bring on a high caliber team. I feel like he's going to be a fantastic addition at the 2C. Now, what we were talking about 2C, now you have to ask what 3 and 4C look like.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about that. What the lines look. And we never really did anything on the lines because we didn't really know. Like it wasn't an official completed roster yet because that was a glaring need for them. And I think this is, like you mentioned, like this is like a tryout thing. I think it's for both of them. For it is for him. it's another player that they went out and signed, not long term. And I feel like this is another thing that they're not going to do, because you still have that Nathan McKinnon thing hanging around, and every dollar matters when it's seeming like he is going to want a king's ransom, which I get. But for him, it's all right. It's a 1-year deal. Why? Because of that, because of the McKinnon thing. But also, like you said, I think he said he had 49. I think it was 43.
It's 43.
He had 43, which is far and away his best season ever. So how everybody was kind of saying, like, I don't want to throw a bunch of money at Nazem Kadri for having a career year. The same is for Evan Rodrigues on a much lower level, but you have to feel good about him kind of replicating that number being on this team. He's on a very good team. And maybe that was his tipping point for when he can, keep those numbers consistent. And if it happens, if it works out, if everybody's happy, I think they go out and sign him maybe for a longer term deal next season. See if that happens.
Yeah, like for Evan, like coming onto this Avalanche roster, you have to try hard not to get 40 points in some form or fashion with this team. Like, and the stat that really stood out for me looking at his numbers last year, that's 43 points in 82 games. 82 games.
Mhm.
Like, you got consistency there.
You do for last year, you do. And that's why I'm
Yes.
saying, like, maybe this is like a tipping point for him, because, he only played the most he's played prior to that was 74 games in 18-19. So, and you had shortened seasons and you had COVID and stuff like that. And it's when you look at numbers, if you're just looking at them, not taking that into account, you just have to kind of like shrug your shoulders like you just did and say, yeah, it's not maybe what he truly can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you have a good team like the Avalanche, and if he went to any of the top tier teams in the league, they would be saying the same thing we are. We got a really good player with potentially could put up better numbers being on a good team. And he was on a good team with Pittsburgh. So are the Avalanche better than Pittsburgh? Yeah. Is he going to be in a better position than he was in Pittsburgh? Yeah. So I think this is good all around. And, I was saying things like, with the Avs not being able to sign Kadri, not bringing Burakovsky back, and not signing Darcy Kemper. And then, when Kadri goes, a lot of that was to try to save money for Kadri, and it didn't happen. You kind of have this excess of money now, and you're thinking back like, well, should have we put out maybe a little bit extra to keep Darcy Kemper? You can throw that around, but you also wouldn't have been able to make a move like this, as small dollar amount as it is. If you gave Darcy Kemper, the extra money, you'd be hamstringing yourself trying to sign someone like Evan Rodrigues. So it's another, it's McFarland and Sakic are always like 2 steps ahead in thinking, and this is a perfect example as to why.
And last year, we were making all these cases for Nico Sturm and why he belongs on this roster based off his face-off numbers alone. And Evan Rodrigues comes in with a career 45.1 face-off percentage from the dot. So you're getting what we justified Nico with production that's kind of like a Berkey level, like a JT kind of offensive production. And that's on less than Avalanche stellar teams. Like Pittsburgh is not the Pittsburgh we know, and Buffalo, everybody knows. So he's going to get his assists. He's going to get the chance to shoot and really belong to this team. So honestly, with what you see with what Evan's done so far, it can only go up from here. And if it doesn't, it's not such a burdensome contract that you're going to have to hold on to it. And it's a piece that you could easily move at the deadline.
If needed.
If needed.
I don't think the Avalanche are thinking that right now. They signed him with a purpose. The Avalanche are in a position to win again. So this isn't, like a Seattle Kraken move where it's like, if it doesn't work out, we'll move you at the deadline. Like this is with the intention of, let's go out and win another championship, and if all goes well, we'll sign you for even longer.
Yep.
So what do the lines look like? Now we can finally kind of throw these around and kind of make some guesses on what we think it might look like. But first, we're going to hear from Athletic Greens. They're back. We haven't heard from Athletic Greens in a little while. And if you're there it is, the wonderful coffee container that holds that delicious Athletic Greens if you're watching on YouTube. And what is it? If you have some gut health and you're kind of worried about your energy level, your immune system, and you're kind of taking a bunch of pills and vitamins, give Athletic Greens a try. It's 1 scoop in a morning glass of water, and you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help your day start off right. The founder of Athletic Greens was it was created when he was experiencing gut health issues, and he ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him over $100 a day. So he created Athletic Greens, which costs you less than $3 a day. And we all have a coffee and cold brew habit. I'm a victim to that. It's pretty much cheaper than your daily coffee routine. So right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day, and that is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first order. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Once again, athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Okay, so like I said, we haven't been able to really guesstimate on what like the lines would be because this glaring 2C need. This is automatic that he is slotted in, or is this still going to be something where they give JT Compher, who's been with the organization for a long period of time, and Alex Newhook, where the ceiling is high on him, like a lot is expected of him, maybe not right now. Does it go into camp kind of open, or was this signing with the intention of you're the guy, we're pointing to you, and you are the guy to replace Nazem Kadri?
I feel like this is the carrot to dangle in front of JT Compher. The 2 and 3C role is up for grabs going into camp. It's going to be we brought him in to be 2C because of the veteran presence and his production. They go to JT. If you want that position, you have to fight for it.
Mhm.
You have to fight for it out of camp. Show us that you want to be here. I know this is your team, but he's taking your spot. If you want to do it, if you want that position, this is the time to step up. Newhook is going to be 4C. There's still some development that needs to be done there. And it's one of those that as the season progresses, he could easily take that 3C, possibly the 2C, depending on injuries and production. But the 2 and 3, it's going to be a battle between Evan and JT. But if I had to put out a roster today, it's going to be Erod, JT, and then Newhook.
I think there's definitely gonna be a competition. I think it's healthy to have competition in camp.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to just go in and say these are our lines, because then there's no fighting for anything. There's no, what's the point in me really trying if you just say this guy's locked into 2C? I think, when the depth charts come out, like he will be at that spot.
Yep.
But I think it's penciled in. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say it's written in ink yet. Because I do. I think they owe it to JT Compher, and I say that not. I don't want people to think like they don't owe JT Compher anything. Well, no. I mean, like he's been around with them for a while, and if there is a position that was open, that he could possibly take over, I think it's beneficial for the Avs to say, we'll give you a shot at it. But in the end, I think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be Rodrigues at the 2C. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Newhook, because he doesn't have to play center.
True.
He could play wing. And I mean, if we want to get into that with like what the lines could be, if we are to say the top line is the big 3, and it could not be that, they could move Mikko down to the second. They could move Landeskog down to the second line. We could do that for a half hour. But so just say that it's the big 3 on the top line. Your second line, if it's Rodrigues at 2C, you would have to say that Nichushkin and Lehkonen are your wingers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, Nichushkin could go up to 1, could whatever. They're top 6 guys.
Yeah. So
then your bottom 6 would look like what? Yeah, you would think that JT Compher is the center. Who's your wing? I mean, I would be okay putting Alex Newhook at a left wing spot
on that 3C. I mean, on that third line.
On the third line. It'd be Comfort, Newhook, and O'Connor.
I like that.
I like that line.
I like that a lot.
That's a fast line. That's a workhorse line. Well, maybe not Newhook. Newhook's not like the workhorse that like O'Connor is, but I think that'd be a very difficult line for an opponent to kind of go up against. And then your last line would look like, I mean, it'd be Darren Helm. I think that's your 4C is Darren Helm.
You know, I would put Cogliano on that line just to see.
Which line, a third or fourth?
Fourth.
Yeah. Yep. Helm. It'd be Helm, Cogliano, and who else?
McDermott.
No, McDonald. I would, McDonald's not going to have a place on the defense. The defense,
you're right.
It's too much. It's so difficult for him to crack into that one of those 6 positions. They are set on defense, and unless there's an injury that happens, he's not going to play defense. He can play offense. Maybe this is me just flaunting over McDonald because I just love the guy's work ethic, and he can play forward. I'd be fine with that to give him a shot, or one of these prospects.
Yeah,
could it be Ben Myers? Could it be Kaut? I don't know. Like you have that. I think now it went from, as we're talking about this, it went from 2C as the glaring need as your 12th position, your 12th forward.
Yeah,
I'm much more comfortable worrying about that than I am who the 2C is, because we have that pretty much wrapped up now. Who our final forward is going to be. We had that issue last year. That's fine. Those are the problems that you want to have if you're a Stanley Cup defending team.
Yeah, I feel like with that fourth line, it's going to be almost like Saturday Night Live. Like, who's making the guest appearance this week, like in this game? Because there are so many people you could slot in there that need the chance, who need to prove something. Like you brought up McDonald, but the same, I kind of threw out McDermott in jest, but we have to figure out something for him too.
And he played forward a bunch of times last year. Right.
So there's a lot of players that are on this roster that if everybody's just pretty much status quo coming out of camp, you're going to have to figure it out in game time, what these players look like. And then that fourth line is going to be your experimental line. It's going to be almost like the, to steal a term from yesteryear, the taxi squad for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can't cut it on this fourth line, you're going back to Loveland.
I just, all right. Well, let's take all right. So let's look at this roster now. And as soon as I saw it, I don't know, just like this comfortability came over me. And again, like, it's Evan Rodrigues. Like we didn't go out and sign like the number 1 free agent, but just what it means. Like, we've been talking so much about this glaring need at 2C, and now I just feel more comfortable going into this regular season. And that's not a slight against Alex Newhook or JT Compher. It's just, we talked over and over about it. Like, we know what we have in JT Compher. There's nothing there to make me think that he's just going to all of a sudden double his production because he's got to up on the 2C line. And with Alex Newhook, I expect him to do that maybe in another year or two. So this is something that we've talked about so many times. And now that you have a guy who, is had a very good year last year, and that's all we really have to go on. But now that he is with this team, there's a sense of more of a comfortability that, okay, like now we're back to that team that every line is going to be a problem for you right now.
Yep. And it's not going to stay the same night in, night out. Like, the team's deep enough that they can adjust on the fly night in, night out. So it's not just like what you see opening night against Chicago. This team is going to be an ever evolving beast that it's going to be really, really difficult to game plan and match up against this team because it could change instantly.
Yeah. So kind of predict it. Do you think things that we were talking about in the beginning, do you feel this is a one and done year for him? Or do you feel like it's going to be a good match and it goes forward? I know we just signed the guy, and why are we thinking about that already? But why not?
We just signed him and we're already putting him up in the rafters at Ball. But no, it's a perfect fit. Like, as soon as this episode comes out, the YouTube comments will be, "Everybody take your victory lap. We did it.
Yeah,
We
right.
willed him to the Colorado Avalanche." But
Yeah.
like, I think just his play style, his production, I think this is what he's been needing his entire life as a team of this caliber, and I feel like it's a really good fit. When the season's said and done, if he plays about that same role and about 2 million, 2.5, I mean, you can't say no, but it's all about what he can do with this team, and I feel like there's nothing that suggests he takes a step back anywhere.
It'll be interesting to see what he does over the course of a full season with the Avalanche, because if it does work out and things are good and he wants to come back, the Avs might have some difficult decisions to make. And we say it over and over again, but that McKinnon contract is just hanging over everybody's heads. So if he has a very good season, if he surpasses his point total from last year, say he gets high 50, say he touches like 60, which when you're on an Avalanche team and running the second line, not out of the realm of possibility.
Mhm.
You are not going to be paying him $2 million next year. He's going to want a little bit more than that. I know how old is he? He was born in 1993. So that's 20. He's almost 30.
Yeah.
So he's almost 30. So this is,
He'll
that's
double
the
the
age.
contract, make 4. If he gets 60 points, he'll be making 4, 4.5.
Right. And do the Avs want to do that? Can the Avalanche do that? I don't know. You're going to have expiring contracts. We're getting into so
Yeah.
many things that are like in the off season, but JT Compher is going to be an unrestricted free agent. I have Cat Friendly up right now.
Do the Avalanche really want to be having the same conversation that we had all offseason this season, next season, when it comes to the
Right.
2C, 3C? Like, do they really want to have that? If Evan Rodrigues becomes a proven commodity going forward, would it
Right.
not just be the safe bet to just say 4 more years of this, I'm fine?
Yeah, at 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be exciting to have him kind of fill in that role, and to see what he can do on like we said, he was on a good team with Pittsburgh. Now he's on a better team with Colorado. So get him in there right now. You just kind of felt that this was happening, that it was going to happen. Like wherever he signed, it just seemed like a good fit for him. And as the days went on, I'm like, why is he not signing? Not just with the Avalanche, just with anybody. Why
Yeah.
is he still out there? And maybe we'll hear from some other teams that were maybe in the mix for him, because I'm sure there was a handful. And it's one of those things where the Avalanche won out again. You have to feel good being an Avs fan that this is kind of becoming a destination for some players like him that want to prop up their game, maybe win a championship, at least play in the playoffs for sure. This is a big deal.
Does he restore Avalanche fans buying a number 9 Avalanche jersey?
Will he be number 9?
Yeah, because he's been carrying number 9. Does he come into
has.
Colorado and take the 9 back, and we could finally tape over our number 9 jerseys we have hanging in the closet?
Ooh. And he can't add a 1 to it. He
Oh,
can't be
no.
19.
He can't be 29 either.
Could he put a 1 on the other end of it and be 91?
How dirty. How dirty.
Oh, smack talk.
It's too early for that.
Oh, my
Trying to take over
goodness.
Duchesne.
Hey, if he's got to take the position, he might as well take the number too.
You could take that stink off
Oh,
the
my
Duchesne number. Don't take Naz's number. So just give me time to process, Evan.
I don't think my dog likes that suggestion either, because she's going crazy over there. All right.
The real ones know.
All right. That's going to wrap it up, everybody. So it's a good day. It's a good day right now. Kind of the roster is kind of coming into focus, and now we can. I just feel like, yeah, now we've got our team. I honestly feel that way, with the exception of, who's playing the last forward spot. But that's the fun. Those are the fun things to talk about, because you have a prospect or whoever it might be. Can they take the reins and run with it? It's good. It's good. We feel good. So comment away, because I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts on this. I think it's mostly going to be good ones. I think people are mainly going to be happy about this. So yeah. Enjoy the Broncos game. I think we are back in the NFL season, so hopefully that's a good week 1 for them. And it's going to be a very good day one for the Avalanche with a, once again, pretty solid roster. So that will wrap it up for today. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. Thank you for making Locked On Avalanche your first listen of the day. And we will see you guys on Wednesday.